Welcome to Biz Talk, everyone. I am your host for today, Rachel Weaver, and I have with me a very special guest today, Maurice Hamilton. Maurice, now the CEO of Infinovate, began his journey as a newspaper boy at the age of just 8 years old. This early experience instilled a strong work ethic in him. He later transitioned into a career as a software developer, sparking his passion for creating solutions in fast-paced world of technology. Maurice, it is such an honor and pleasure to have you with us today. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
So I am excited to talk to you today a little bit about cybersecurity. I would love to hear some of your input recapping cybersecurity in the year of 2023 and what we learned from some of the things that happened in 2023.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thanks again for having me. Rachel, yeah, some of the biggest events that we actually had happen in cybersecurity last year, a lot of people may remember the MGM Caesar event where the hackers actually locked their systems out, where guests couldn't even get into their hotel rooms. It was that bad. And when I go back and recap 2023 by working with our clients, there are probably two or three areas that we saw that was really significant in 2023. One, we saw a really huge, significant increase in phishing and phishing. And when not phishing like for fish, but phishing emails that people actually get emails that are fraudulent, people trying to steal their credit information, their personal identity information, just trying to obtain information. So a lot of our clients saw an increase, including myself, in phishing emails. And I just mentioned about MGM Caesar, that event that happened last spring or last summer. We also saw a really huge increase in ransomware. Right now, about every 40 seconds, there's a ransomware attempt made. The average ransomware, when they do actually penetrate the people's accounts, is actually $2 million. And analysts predict by the year 2031, a ransomware attack will happen in every 2 seconds. So it's really starting to really pick up. They're really bad. These guys are relentless. The bad actors just won't stop.
Wow. So much to take away and learn from that. I know me personally, I was affected in a way of my social media being hacked. And I know so many people that was a big source of their income and they lost it from the hackers, hacking into their account. When you don't have access to all that content you've created, brands don't really want to keep working with you. So many things to learn from that and make sure we are taking precaution. So what are maybe some tips that you can give us to help increase cybersecurity?
Yes, and I'll go back to some of the basics, but I have to say the number one effective method that people can actually take on their systems, whether it's your business system or personal system, is to apply two-factor authentication. And for those who are not familiar with two-factor authentication, what you're doing is on your application, you're turning on an additional layer of security. So you'll go to an application like Google Authenticator, which is probably one of the most common ones. And when you log into the system, it'll say, okay, I need to know what your 6-digit or 8-digit code is for your two-factor authentication. And that typically comes to your phone. You have to type in that particular code, which only lasts about 15, 20 seconds, into your application in order to unlock it. So going two-factor authentication is actually huge. Another big tip I have to give people is actually go back and go to Amazon or some of these other locations and actually buy a battery backup like this. Something like this probably only costs like $150 for like a terabyte of data that can back up a terabyte of data. But it's so effective to actually back up all your information as often. But make sure you do it at least once a week, but back up your information. Those are probably some of the top two that you can do. Another tip I would give people would be every time you see an application come out and they say, hey, we have an upgrade that's available. Well, would you like to upgrade it? Go ahead and upgrade the software. that application is actually providing you patches, is providing you any kind of mechanisms inside your system that can actually lock out some of these bad bugs that may be existing in your application today. So whenever you see an application come out and say, hey, look, please update, we have a new upgrade available, do that as soon as possible. Those are three. Have maybe a couple more I can give you as well, if you like.
No, I would love to hear a couple more, but I want to touch a little bit further on a few of those because I think it's really important to elaborate. Oftentimes, we hear some of those things that you say, but I would love to elaborate a little bit further on some of those because I think two-factor authentication is really, really important. But I've also seen people say that hackers have gone through that step. So in terms of taking it a step further, if you have that security step, I think, aren't there like little text messages or emails we also need to be super cautious of? Because a lot of us have those extra safety precautions on our phone, but then we're still getting text messages that look like they're from our bank or look like they're from our social media platform or look like, and they've gotten so good, some of these hackers, to where they've even figured out a way to have that text message show up as like a code, just like it would if it was from your bank or from Instagram saying, when you go to reset your password and then they want to see your PIN, and it shows up in that same text thread. And so I guess for me, I would love for us to elaborate because I know from experience and the pain of being hacked, I would love to know what other insights you could give us or whatever things can you bring to our awareness to take it a step further from adding that second step of security.
You said a couple of different things there, two or three different areas there.
Okay.
And you're right with the two-factor authentication. Although it's very difficult to do that, the hackers can figure out if they know your phone number, they can actually try to tap into your system. One thing that you can actually do when you actually have your application set up, you can actually have it, especially with the bank, they'll send you an alert. And they say, we just noticed that you logged into your account. Was that you? And you have that information. Well, when you see that and you know that you're not actually on your application for it, the first thing you want to do is actually call your bank, call the security, and have somebody go back and check and make sure that there's nothing happening. A lot of times when with the banks that are out there, the hackers will try to get into that information by sending you an email or, like you said, a text that looks really real. So when I see that kind of information, or if it comes to when I recommend to my clients, always don't respond back to that particular link. Pick up the phone and call the bank directly because you don't know what that could be. You don't know who's trying to phish and try to get your personal identity, your bank information, because they could be they're very cunning like that. And they're very sharp and very shrewd as how they actually go back and try to do that. So don't respond to that information. Always go back and actually call the bank and just to verify, take a few minutes to say, look, I just got this message there. Banks typically aren't going to go back and tell you to change your password on the phone. They're not going to send you a text message. When you log into your application, it'll tell you, but they're not going to send it on a text message. A lot of people look at that. Oh, it's from the bank. It's not really from the bank. Just trust. But I mean, I don't trust anything. I would say go back and verify everything, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I've learned that the hard way. Don't trust anything really, because I know that's really there's that fine line there. But the reality is when we become comfortable and we trust is when we're vulnerable and susceptible to these kinds of things happening because we don't really feel, I think, vulnerable for the most part. But would you say that we are at greater risk today more than ever because of the amount of business we do from our cell phones?
100%. 100%. And it's gotten to the point where I personally do not order anything from my phone when it comes to like Amazon. I don't do that because I don't want my credit card information out there on my phone because my phone is so susceptible to anything that can actually happen. So yes, we are definitely at risk. And that's why we saw that really large spike in phishing emails and attacks on us over the past 12 months, because these guys are really, really good. So 100%, we are definitely at greater risk. And I would say you have to, especially during a holiday season. Oh my goodness, it really spiked during this last holiday season. We have to be extremely cautious and be very careful. And it's hard. It's hard not to go to your phone and actually be able to order something for it, but I just don't trust the system. I won't do it.
So what are your thoughts on paying with your cell phone? Like all of us have, if you have an Apple device, you have your Apple Wallet and you just tap the card reader and you pay for your item. What are your thoughts there? Is that a risk?
Yes, it is. A lot of times, well, for example, when I have mine set up for it, I have a special account that only has a certain dollar amount on the credit card that's there. And that way, if something happened, something risky, it's only like $500. And it's a different card number, completely different from everything else, because you have to have something. You can't avoid it. You have to have something on your phone. But I'm not going to actually put, my regular credit limit on my phone and with the credit card there. I won't do it. There's something else on, I can't think which bank it was, but there's a bank that came out and they actually have a new credit card just for e-commerce. And what's happening is that e-commerce credit card the numbers keep changing. So it's not the same credit card number. And that's going to be really popular in the future with banks for it. It's not the same credit card number that once you use that credit card number, it's gone. It's gone to oblivion. So that's what you're going to see, banks starting to use more technology like that. So it's not the same number.
Oh, I love that. That actually seems like a really genius idea to help protect us. And I think the other thing that I have learned, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is don't put your bank account information on your wallet, on your phone to tap things, because I've heard a lot of people tell me something's happened or they're seeing miscellaneous charges. And then they disclose that they don't even use a credit card. They only use their debit card and they're paying for everything on their debit card on their phone. And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe that's not the safest thing. But yeah.
Yeah. You have to be really proceed with caution. Just always think of it this way, that there's always somebody trying to get your information. So you have to use precaution with everything you do.
Very, very good. And there's not really as much protection when it's your debit card versus your credit card, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly.
Okay. Very good. So for those of you listening, make sure you take your debit card off of your wallet in Apple or Android, and then only put a credit card with maybe a lower limit.
Right.
To protect yourselves, and never, ever, ever click on one of those links in your text thread saying that it's the bank, because that opens up the ability for the hacker to then access everything.
You just nailed it right there.
Very good. Well, thank you so much, Maurice. Do you have any closing statements that you want to leave us with in terms of protecting ourselves?
Yeah, I would tell people, just again, change your passwords often. Maybe you want to use like passphrases, use something like that, but change it often. Just continuously change your information. And when you're doing your system, and if you're actually having a business out there, don't be afraid to actually have a company come out there like myself and do a penetration test and make sure that your systems are as locked up as much as possible.
Very good. Thank you so much, Maurice. We appreciate you coming in and giving us so many tips every single week. And we look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you for having me.
We will be right back after this commercial break. Thank you, Maurice.
The legal profession is not immune to the disruptive power of artificial intelligence. AI is reshaping the way lawyers research, analyze, and manage legal matters. AI-powered legal research tools can sift through vast volumes of legal documents, statutes, and case law in seconds, providing lawyers with comprehensive insights to build their cases. In courtrooms, AI is used to manage and present digital evidence effectively. It It can organize and analyze evidence, making complex cases more understandable for judges and juries. In contract review, AI quickly identifies potential risks, inconsistencies, and compliance issues in legal contracts, saving valuable time and reducing human errors. The future of law is being shaped by AI. AI is streamlining legal research, improving courtroom presentations, enhancing contract analysis, and making legal information more efficient and accessible. Data Dive, infinite insights instantly. Are you a business owner feeling overwhelmed or burnt out with no energy left for what's most important to you? In order to effectively run your business and maximize your profits, you have got to be the best possible you that you can be. Now is the time to reclaim your energy, master your schedule, and maximize your profits so you can effectively run your business rather than it running you. It's time to become the CEO of your business and life. I'm Jen Godet, a business strategist and life coach. I work with overwhelmed business owners who feel stuck in a rut and depleted. I teach you how to stop doing the things that aren't making you money and start prioritizing the things that bring you energy, joy, and lasting impact. I'm a human performance specialist and an international best-selling author. I've helped countless people all over the world to learn the art of saying no, overcome their fear, and maximize their performance. Let's get you to live your best possible reality. Start today and become the CEO of your business and your life.
Welcome back, everyone. I am your host, Rachel Weaver. I have with me today a very special guest, Nora Al-Masri. Nora is an enrolled agent with the IRS, the founder and CEO of Nora's Books, and an international best-selling author. With a master's degree in business information technology from DePaul University, she brings over 20 years of accounting experience to her work in managing and growing nonprofit organizations. Nora is known for her expertise in increasing nonprofit funding through streamlined processes and regulatory compliance. In addition to her nonprofit work, she's dedicated to helping business owners achieve their financial goals by boosting cash flow. She founded Nora's Books, a virtual tax and accounting firm with the mission of helping individuals achieve their dreams while making a positive impact. Nora, it is always a pleasure to have you on Biz Talk.
Thank you, Rachel. Very nice to be with you. It's always my pleasure.
So I would love to ask you a few questions today about business entities and structures. I, in particular, want to learn a little bit more about S Corp and what are the pros and cons of having an S Corp versus an LLC. So there's lots of talks out there, and some tax advisors and accountants will say, no, LLC is totally fine. You don't need an S Corp. And then I'll have another tax advisor or accountant tell me, Rachel, do you know how much money you're throwing away by having an LLC? You need to switch to an S Corp. And so for a lot of small business owners, they're like, oh, what do I do? So since you are such a trusted advisor in my books, I would love for you to share with me and our audience some of the differences and the pros and cons of an S Corp. I want to dive deep into S Corp in particular.
Of course. So this is a great question because, like you said, there's a lot of different opinion on it, and a lot of people in TikTok who don't know really accounting, but they just got this someone told them they have to be an S corp and they started talking about it. My favorite answer for actually having any question in taxes is really, it depends. So it's not one size fits all. It depends. So LLC is a great way to start. You don't want to elect to be an S corp until you're ready. And how do you know you are ready? You need to talk to your tax advisor. You need to do some sorts of tax planning, because if it's better for you, it doesn't mean it's better for someone else. Or if someone saved a lot of money, it doesn't mean you'll be able to save a lot of money with it. So it really depends. And a lot of things that people don't know, S corp is not an entity structure. Well, it is, but it's not. You don't go ahead and register S corporation. On the state level, you have LLC, you have C corporation, you have nonprofit corporation. These are the three main. Maybe like there are like a few different stuff, but there's no S corporation. And on the other hand, if you go to the IRS, there is no LLC. There is S corporation, there is corporation, there is nonprofit corporation. This is basically like the main thing that most people deal with. So once the first step you want to do, if you want to be an S corp, you have to register. You can be registered as an LLC on a state level or a C corporation. And then at certain points, you may elect to be taxed as an S corporation. So it's typically a tax election. But when you do this election, when you are ready for it, when it's really going to save you money, because some tax strategy on the LLC level, you cannot take when you are an S corp, and vice versa. So you need to see what's your entire situation, like your personal, your marital status. Do you have kids or no? Can you take advantage of the tax strategies for LLC or no? Now you have to do an S corp. And also income level on the entity level and on the personal level. Does it make sense for you to be an S corp, or you cannot afford it yet? Because you have to put yourself on a payroll. One of the biggest actually differences is when you are an LLC, you cannot put yourself on a payroll. You actually can withdraw money randomly because there is no difference between you and the entity. Well, there is that shield like to protect you on the state level, but you cannot put yourself on a payroll as the owner. However, if you elect to be taxed as an S corp, now you must put yourself on a payroll and you have to pay yourself reasonable salary in order to be able to give yourself any distribution from your company. So this is a big major difference, because IRS wants their taxes, because now you're saving from your payroll taxes, not payroll taxes, you're saving from your self-employment taxes, what you have to pay when you do LLC, but they're not going to let you go without paying any taxes. You have to pay payroll taxes. So you have to be on the payroll.
I see. So really, it only makes sense if you're ready, if you're at another, maybe even bringing in more money into your business to where you can pay that income tax, it becomes a benefit. And then would you say it's also beneficial if you have other people to put on that payroll, and it makes more sense, although you're going to pay more tax, I think you also receive extra benefits. Am I right or wrong?
Yes, you do receive extra benefits, but also that make more money, make enough money. It means different thing for different people. So maybe like if I talk to you, Rachel, maybe for you, more money is $40K a year. For someone else, it might be $100K a year. Mm-hmm. And now what I want people to understand that you cannot put yourself on a payroll when you do an LLC. However, you can put other people on a payroll. Okay. So it's not related. So, but you as an owner, you have different treatments.
Okay.
So that's why you cannot be on a payroll, but someone else can be on a payroll. Now, when an S corp, you're running the payroll, like you're just adding employees at the same time. So it doesn't, like, having more employees doesn't play a role on you have more advantage of being an S corp or LLC. It really varies from business to business, from person to business, from person to person, from type of business as well. So that's why, like, when we do the tax planning, I don't advise anyone to do that without tax planning, because we run scenarios. We show you, okay, this is how it's going to look like if you stay an LLC, and this is how it's going to look like if you elect to be an S corp. So there's big difference.
Very good. Makes complete sense to me. So, what would you say are some of the key points to being a benefit to switching from an LLC to an S corp? Because a lot of people start, like you said, as an LLC, right? Mm-hmm. And so when would you say it's really beneficial to switch over and make that move into S corp?
So when you see that you're paying a lot of taxes, but still maybe you're missing strategies. So don't just jump into electing an S corp. Maybe you're not taking advantage of the strategies that's available to you. So you want to wait for that. When actually you see yourself not separating well enough between your personal and LLC, you want to talk to your tax advisor to see, because it helps people to separate more when they file a different tax return, because when you're an LLC, you're actually filing with your personal if you don't have any partner. So you don't see the separation. But when you elect to be an S corp, now you have to file by March 15, the corporation taxes. So that gives you actually the separation. But really, like, you really have to talk to your tax advisor, because you save in taxes. But you want to see, like, do you really save in taxes right now? And you do this separation, in both, like, state level, IRS level. And so you don't commingle. It helps you not to commingle so much between your business and your personal, because now you file different taxes. You have to have bookkeeping. You have to have everything in place. And also you put yourself on a payroll, so you don't have to, like, should I take this money now? Even though we still do it with the LLC, like, help you structure when you pay yourself, but we get busy. So now when you have yourself on a payroll, okay, you're getting paid now. Okay. Also, like, you want to keep in mind, you still can take distribution if you pay yourself a reasonable salary. So you're not stuck on that payment, but at least, like, you have something coming. You can schedule more payments, like in your personal, because when you're an LLC, you don't feel like, okay, now I'm getting paid on this date. You really don't know. So it's hard to schedule yourself on a payroll. It gives you more motivation to be, okay, like, I have to make payroll, even if it's only for you. Just, okay. So you have to bring those money. So you do an extra work, maybe. Like, I just give you an example. I joined recently BNI chapter here, and now it's forced me to actually go and look for other business owners and talk to them. That will be benefit from both of us, but this is a requirement by them to actually invite other business owners. So it's forced me to go network. Same thing like here. You have to make a payroll, even if it's just for you. It's just like, okay, I have to make a payroll. Maybe I need to do this sale. So, like, it helps you being more creative as a business owner.
Love that. Yes. Makes complete sense. It's almost as if there's definitely some benefits, especially for those people who haven't made it to that point where they're not on a structured time frame, but then at the same with paying themselves. And so it's a struggle for them because they're automatically paid as an S corp. But then on the LLC side, there's a little bit more flexibility where if something happens in your personal life, you can make an owner withdraw even during an emergency situation. However, the next month, maybe you don't have to pay yourself to make up for that emergency that happened the month before.
You can still do that with a S corp, because, for example, if your reasonable salary, for example, $1,000 a month, just an example, That's a reasonable salary based on the company size and based on everything like market and everything. If you hire someone, you're going to pay them $1,000. That's an example. Then you don't have to be stuck to that because you still can give yourself a distribution. So if there is an emergency, you need to take a distribution. You can do that as long as you are on a payroll on a reasonable salary. So you can do that, but you don't have to take that distribution every single month. Mm-hmm. So there is this step, flexibility still with the S Corp.
Okay, very good. So let me ask you, how does pass-through taxation work for S corporations, and how does it impact the taxation of business profits and distributions to shareholders?
Sure. So you file, like I said, by March 15. So don't wait until March 15. You file the March 15. And if you want to elect to be actually an S Corp this year, you have to make this election by March 15. Now you do this filing, and then you issue yourself K1. That has to be filed with the S corporation tax return. And that K1, you take it and actually put it with your personal return. That's how you actually transfer that. And on the entity level, you're not paying any taxes because like you said, it's pass-through entity. So it's just like with the K1, and then you issue yourself a W-2 as well because you're an employee. So you have two things coming from your S Corp, K1 as a shareholder and a W-2 as an employee, and you filed your taxes based on those.
Very good. Thank you so much, Nora. Tell the audience where they can find you.
Sure. So they can go to my website, www.noorasbooks.com/contact. They can actually book a call. We get on Zoom. They can actually be speaking to me or someone of my team, and we help them actually get started with whatever service they need. And I do a lot of YouTube video just for education. I did recently like few videos about S Corp. For more information, they can go and listen to my other videos as well.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for tuning in today. Thank you for joining us. And we will be right back after this commercial break.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Well, here's a great idea. Donate your car now to help local veterans in your area. Yes, just make one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program. Within a few days, we'll come and remove your car for free. You can donate any car in any condition. We'll use our vast network to sell it. The proceeds raised go to help local veterans and their families. And you get a tax deduction. And all you need to do is make this free call. Clean your yard up, get rid of an old car, and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now. Book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Car Donation Program now.
Are you nearly maxed out on your credit cards? It doesn't matter if you're using your credit cards for fun or to survive. At the end of the month, your statements come in, and you can either pay them or you can't. If you can't, late fees and interest rates get tacked on. And now you're struggling just to make the minimum payment due. Do you feel trapped? Am I talking to you? Good, because I personally researched some companies that can help you. They may be able to reduce your credit card balances by 50% and stop the late fees. If you qualify, please call our special debt hotline number right now for a complimentary free 5-minute consultation. Deal with your credit card problem now before it gets much worse and put more money back in your pocket. Trust me, I've been there too. Call right now.
Call 855-993-2096 right now. That's 855-993-2096.
Welcome back to Biz Talk, everyone. I am your host, Rachel Weaver. I'm thrilled to have back with us today Dr. Alan Badeau. He is an AI evangelist and the CEO of Alan Badeau LLC, a prominent consulting company specializing in AI, blockchain, quantum, and advanced technology solutions for diverse clientele, including commercial, federal, and international entities. Dr. Badeau, welcome to the show. It's always an honor to have you.
Hi, Rachel. It's great to see you again.
Great to see you as well. I am super excited to dive into some of today's topics because social media monitoring is a pretty big deal, especially when it comes to AI in today's world. So I have a question. Can AI help in monitoring brand mentions across social media, things like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, one of the great things about AI is its ability to automate a lot of tasks. Mm-hmm. And so you can not only monitor the things that are being posted, whether it's mentions of a product, whether it's actually seeing what the sentiment is around a certain product, but also you can have it automate the things that you are putting up there yourselves. Mm-hmm. You can have it generate material. You can have it generate tweets, for example, at a certain schedule. You can have it generate pictures of, different activities, different products, depending on whatever your market segment is. All of that stuff can be handled by AI now.
To me, it's a phenomenal thing because if it saves me time from social media, I am in heaven. And also my company, because we do social media marketing for our clients. So I love that we have the accessibility to utilize and leverage AI to help us save time. But also, I believe it's such a great tool because it helps us with what's trending and what people are looking for. So tell us, how can AI analyze customer sentiments from social media? How can AI really help with this?
Yeah, we have what's called natural language models, right? And what that allows us to do is look at the sentiment of tweets that are going out, whether they are positive or negative, and you can calculate those over really whatever distribution or market segment that you're trying to understand a little bit more about, and then almost do it in real time, so you can see how products are being accepted or not accepted, how, for instance, a movie or a sports event is being perceived by the general public. There's so much though data that we have access to. Of course, a human can't do that. The best you can do is maybe a few hundred if you're lucky, but with AI you can go across the entire segment. But it's not only that. You could do Facebook if you wanted to. You could do X, or formerly called Twitter, I guess, or any social media platform that's out there, and then you can also compare those two, so you can get a much better understanding of what the true sentiment is or feeling is with a product or event, and that's wonderful.
Wow, that's pretty phenomenal that we can get that data just from AI. That's incredible. So that way you understand how to show up and what maybe to bring new into what you're offering to your clientele because of understanding what people are looking for.
That's right.
So what AI tool, or what is the best AI tool for social media engagement, would you say?
Well, it depends on your product. Some products behave, some AI packages and tools behave a little bit better than others. But what I tell people is, again, try out a few different ones and see which one you're going to prefer. For instance, of course, ChatGPT does a really great job generating, tweets. It can generate those kinds of, social media data for you. but then, other products may behave a little bit better, than some. U.com is a really good one that can generate small tweets. There are, some other ones that are out there. Perplexity has a whole bunch of models that you can get access to that can do all of those kind of things. And so try them out, see which one you like the best, see which one you feel the most comfortable with, and then, use that as your platform. There are some other commercial tools that you have to pay for. Some can be pretty expensive. So just weigh the good and the bad about that and see which one is really going to work best for you.
So let's dive a little deeper into this question, because I think that a lot of people still understand, and actually a lot of brands understand, that what's more important than the number of followers is your engagement. Because we all know that people can buy followers, right?
That's right.
Right. So when I am a company, or if I was a brand and I was looking for someone who was an influencer, or maybe not even a known influencer, but really someone who's highly engaged and could represent my company well, yes, I'd like to see their followers, but knowing that they might not all be real, I tend to look at engagement. And engagement to me, and now we're understanding that companies, brands are becoming a lot smarter, right? They're no longer looking for somebody who's got 10 million followers. They're looking for somebody who has actual engagement, because you can have 10 million followers and only 100 comments.
That's right.
Doesn't add up there, right? So in terms of finding these tools for engagement on social media, those people who have high levels of engagement feel sometimes, if they're doing it on their own especially, a little overwhelmed.
Yes.
Make sure they're engaging, because it's literally almost a full-time job. Making sure that they're engaging with their audience. And it is something that I talk to influencers. It's a big part of what I do. I talk to influencers on a regular basis, and I mentor a lot of them. And they say to me, I'm hiring this person to do the engagement. They're not feeling who I am. They're not doing it right. They're not saying things right. I'm trying to keep up, and I am burnt out. So I believe an AI engagement tool could be phenomenal, but how does it go about engaging, really?
Yeah, and that's a really complex question, actually. Okay. and it's fantastic, because, as you look at AI and you look at the tools that are out there today, one of the biggest problems that they have is, they don't show emotion. They don't have personalities, per se. And it's really hard for you to automate a process like that, where it's checking your emails and you want it to automatically respond, right? Or it's checking your social media profiles and, all the engagements that are there. And you really want to allow the AI to respond, but it's not responding the way that you would want it to, right? That's a big, big challenge. A lot of that is because we've tried to take quote unquote bias out. And so it's hard to make an AI that acts like a person when you've taken all of the bias out. And so, folks like myself are looking at, how can we inject personality into it? How can we create a cognitive persona that allows a person to train the AI, give it certain traits, and then allow it to interact with different customers, so it's projecting you as opposed to just projecting neutralness and nothing, right? Just, system-is, right? And so that's one of the big, fields and, of research that it's going on actively as we speak. And, that's one of the challenges, though, too, on the backside of that, because then you start to see AI is actually engaging, and then maybe it's not a person, right? And so it's getting so much harder, though, to tell. Is it an AI that's interacting with me? Is it automated? Is it the real person? Is it not? Is it two AIs that are actually talking to each other? You don't know sometimes. And so you just have to be careful I tell people again, these AIs, they can be robust. If they're not trained, they love glorious answers and they use really, extravagant words as they describe things. That's one of the keys to focus in on when you see something like that. It's probably an AI, even on social media. So, great tools. A lot of new technologies coming out, but still, you have to be careful.
Love that. Such great points to keep in mind when learning and trying to understand how to manage our engagement.
That's right.
Because it really, just like, I don't know, I am a huge advocate. I am literally the biggest nerd. So I'm always researching and trying to understand what can help me. I probably spend more time trying to find things that can help than if I just did the task myself. But eventually I believe it'll catch up.
Well, I'm a perfect example of that because I'm a lazy email writer. I know that. I'm a lazy tweeter. I just, I misspell things because I'm in a hurry and, my emails are not probably as tight as they they used to be not as tight as they should be. Now, there's very rarely an occasion where I don't use some tool to have it check my emails, check what I put out on social media to really tighten it up and make it crisp. So it's, I'm using the tool, I'm engaging with the tool, but I'm still doing it from my perspective and not the AIs automatically generating it, right? And so I think that's the big difference.
Fantastic. Such great information as always. Appreciate you being on the show. We always look forward to having you. And with that, can you tell everyone where to find you?
Yeah, you can find me at Dr. Allen at allenbedeau.ai. Or you can also come to my other website, harmonicai.ai. That's where we're developing personas, and that's where we're giving them personality. So people should just check it out to see some of the things that we're doing because it's a lot of fun and a lot of crazy things that you can do with them.
I love that. I am for sure. So that's harmonic.ai.
Yep, harmonicai.ai.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much for being with us. We look forward to having you back again very soon. And with that, we will be right back after this commercial break.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Taking a trip in the next 12 months? Airlines are under tremendous pressure and they're practically giving away their unsold seats. Like every crisis, this one will end too. But right now is the best time to take advantage of giveaway ticket prices on their unsold seats. We're not allowed to publish these low fares online. The only way to get these rock bottom giveaway prices is to call. So phone low-cost airlines now for airline ticket prices you may never see again.
Welcome back to Biz Talk, everyone. I am your host, Rachel Weaver. I have a very special guest with me today. His name is John Mitchell. John has been working in the tax field since 1990. He holds a Master of Science in Taxation and holds both a law license and an enrolled agent license. John is a member of the National Association of Enrolled Agents and the National Association of Tax Professionals. John is on the board of directors of the Texas Society of Enrolled Agents and the Greater Houston chapter of TaxC. John is a recognized expert in the field of taxation, being a fellow of the National Tax Practice Institute. John, welcome to Biz Talk. We are grateful to have you today.
Rachel, I am so happy and pleased to be here. Glad to be with you again and be able to share some good information with the audience out there. Now, just fair warning. I mean, after that introduction, Rachel, I gotta say, man, my head, I gotta make sure that my head fits in this frame. So, thanks for that very warm welcome as always, Rachel. It's really good to see you again.
Thank you. So great to see you as well. Well earned. The introduction was well earned. But I want to dive right in because this is an important topic and we could talk for hours, but we only have minutes. So tax identity theft. It has been happening for a very long time, unfortunately, but we don't often talk about it. And I think that we need to bring awareness to it because we're hearing stories of it happening more recently again and again. So what exactly is tax identity theft? And how do you handle it with the IRS if you find out that someone has stolen your tax identity?
Yeah, like I said, Rachel, you are sure right. That is a very, very common thing, all too common. So sorry to say, people out there just, I guess, looking to make that quick buck and just do anything and don't care how it affects other people. So I'm sorry to hear that, but yeah, you're right. And I had somebody just come in with a problem like this to my office last week, nearly in tears. Not only are they not going to get their tax refund that they were expecting and counting on, as we all do in this economy the way it is today, but also the IRS is now sending them letters, dunning notices. You owe us money, and John, we're at wit's end. We don't know what to do about this now. Tax identity theft, one of the main things that it can take a couple of different forms. All right. One common thing that people do, folks out there with the criminal intent will go ahead and get a hold of your information. Okay, and what they'll do is they will file what purports to be a tax return, and it's considered a tax return by the IRS. And so they send in a quote unquote, I'm putting in air quotes here, right? So they send in a tax return, and the IRS will send them money. So they have now gotten the money that you should have gotten, and probably even more, right? So that's one of the things that can take place. How do they get a hold of your information? I mean, myriad of ways. You can buy it on the dark web. Sometimes there are people, they'll buy it from like secretaries that work in offices, accounting offices or tax offices, or sometimes doctor's offices, because they've got all your social and all your information. And so they'll buy that information and then use that to log in electronically, file what purports to be a tax return, and capture that money, and then you are odd man out if you're waiting for your tax refund. So that's one thing. Another way that tax identity theft happens, it's a little bit different. We've got the crisis at the border going on, and sometimes what happens, somebody will work a job, okay, and they'll use your social security number. And so what can happen with that is you're living your best life, and all of a sudden you get notices from the IRS that you owe this extra money because of income that you had. Only guess what? It wasn't your income. You didn't work. You didn't make that money. But since somebody out there worked a job, or maybe even I've seen this be with Uber Eats. I've seen this happen with Lyft and DoorDash. And people will just sign up. Maybe their credit's damaged or whatever the case may be, and they couldn't get approved on their own. they'll go ahead and make up an identity and use your name and your social and start working, and all that income, now the IRS is knocking on your door looking for looking for money for you to pay taxes on money that you never even earned. So those are two of the kind of main ways that tax identity theft can happen and
Wow.
affect people.
So interesting. So how do you handle it? I mean, is there some kind of affidavit you can file? Is there what do you do if this happens to you?
Right. If this happens, I mean, strap in and get prepared, because it's a kind of a long slog to get this stuff worked out. Right. The first step that you would want to do, like if I woke up tomorrow and a letter from the IRS and said I owed money for income that I don't recognize, very first thing I would do is I would call up the IRS. Or log on, as the case may be, and try and get a printout, try and get a transcript, so the IRS will tell me what is in their records, what income do they think that I made, right? And so that would be one thing. And if it's the other kind of identity theft, by the way, you're going to know it, because when you go to file your tax return, if you do so electronically, it's going to come back with an error message and say, no, sorry, you already filed. And you're like, beg your pardon, excuse me, no, I didn't. And so then that's when you call the IRS. And the very first thing you're going to do, what I would do, is file an identity theft affidavit. And you can Google that, or you can come to a professional like me. And I've got that kind of on speed dial, so to speak. So you would just file the tax identity theft. And if a tax return has not been filed, because here's the thing, right? If there's case law, what really legally constitutes a tax return, okay? So it is called the beard test. I always remember this, because I always think of a guy, stroking his beard, right? Thinking if this is a real tax return or not, right? So the beard test has a checklist of items. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but basically the important thing here is, if you did not sign off on that tax return and you did not authorize it to be filed, then that's not a real tax return. I've had to go back and forth many times in the past with the IRS on this. As well, if it wasn't correct, have your client file an amended return. But no, they're entitled to file their original tax return. So you fill out the identity theft, you fill out your 1040. You're not going to be able to do this electronically now, unfortunately, but fill it all out, send it in, and wait for the IRS machinery to work its way through. And that's going to be, sorry to say, your best bet, even though that's not, I've seen this take 2.5 years to get worked out. So you're in it for the long haul, but if you do the proper steps, it'll take a while, but it'll get worked out.
Very good. Well, such great information. I appreciate that. And always, always contact an expert, in my personal opinion. If anything like this happens, contact someone like John. John, where can the audience find you?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I am here in Houston, Texas, of course, the Space City, beautiful Houston. It's beautiful outside now, anyway, right now, as we film today, right? So, Greenway Plaza is my office, but we deal with clients all over the United States and even internationally. And so I can be reached at my telephone number, 713-333-0555. And the other way to reach me, a really good option, is email jmitchell@cctaxlaw.com. I've handled dozens and dozens of these identity theft cases. If you are out there and you want to, hit me up, that's absolutely no problem. I've got the steps, I know them by memory, so no problem at all.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We look forward to having you back again very soon. And with that, we will be right back after this commercial break.
Taking a trip in the next 12 months? Airlines are under tremendous pressure and they're practically giving away their unsold seats. Like every crisis, this one will end too. But right now is the best time to take advantage of giveaway ticket prices on their unsold seats. We're not allowed to publish these low fares on